Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. User Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which of course follows Doctor Strange in his adventure through the multiverse with other characters such as Wong, Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, and the new character America Chavez. Let's first talk about the cast of this film and seeing Benedict Cumberbatch come back as Doctor Strange and Benedict Wong come back as Wong was really nice to see because I really love seeing these characters together and their camaraderie. They always help each other and teach each other things about sorcery and that topic. It was a delight to see again, and the way that Cumberbatch plays Doctor Strange, I've always liked that. He has a stern kind of demeanor, but deep down, he has a great heart and he wants to do the best for people, as you see in this film, and even in past films recently like Spider-Man No Way Home. So I love how he plays the role of Strange, and of course Benedict Wong as Wong was nice to see again because he's usually a side character, but he always adds a lot to his scenes and brings a lot to the table. So I love seeing these characters and these actors together again. And you have Xochitl Gomez as America Chavez, who's a new character here. And I really like what her character brought to the table. She's integral to the plot, to the story, but it doesn't feel like her character is just serving the story. You start feeling for her character, even if this is the first time we're seeing her. And always seeing someone your age on screen is cool, especially in a big movie like this. So I thought she was a wonderful addition here, and she played the role quite well. And even seeing, Rachel McAdams come back as Christine was cool. She has a lot to do in this film, particularly in the latter half of the movie. So I thought she was great here. But Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda slash Scarlet Witch really stood out here, especially for the past few Marvel projects that we've been seeing her in. She's been standing out because she's been having this character arc of grief, and she's been playing that very well. And it really feels like it led to this film, and certain things that her character does here, it really feels like, okay, it's obvious that it really was leading to this moment. I don't want to spoil much, but she's just playing this character full of grief, and just this character she lets it affect others, which isn't a good thing. So the film tackling that was pretty important because that's a big part of her arc as well. And I just thought she really stood out here. And I'm interested in seeing what people think about her character here, because I feel like this is where her arc has been leading to, at least ever since, Infinity War and certain things that happened there. So overall, I thought the cast was pretty strong. Now let's talk about the directing in this film. And this film is directed by Sam Raimi, who directed the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. And I've loved those films ever since I was little. Spider-Man 2 in particular is one I still rewatch a lot. So I thought he was an interesting choice for this film because, this film seems to be going from, the horror elements of the multiverse and of Doctor Strange. And that's why I thought he was a great choice here, because Sam Raimi has a lot to do with horror, especially in his first films, like the Evil Dead films, in particular. So he really brought that in this film, especially in the second half. And it was great of Marvel to actually let this director, bring his vision on screen, because his vision isn't necessarily something that you think Marvel would go for, these horror elements, and the way the film gets a little gory and scary in the second half. I really felt his touch, his flavor in this film, Sam Raimi's touch here. And it really worked for this film because Doctor Strange can be a little weird sometimes. And when Sam Raimi goes for horror, his horror is scary because it is a little gory and because it is a little weird and unnerving, and he goes for that here. So I wish I just felt it more in the first half than the second half, but once it gets going and you really feel his direction, I was just having a blast, analyzing just the different shots that we've seen in his other films, just the way he uses the camera and everything. So I thought Sam Raimi was a great person to direct this film especially. Now let's talk about the aspect of this film that really does bring down the film overall for me, and that's the story and screenplay of this film. Now, although, certain character arcs here and certain storylines, in my opinion, were even great, because, a lot of the MCU has been leading up to, these certain character arcs and everything. It was just the way the film was jumping from one plot point to the other plot point to the other plot point, just very quickly, that kind of brings down the film, because it doesn't really let the audience digest a lot of the story. It just seems like it was trying to fill as much as it could and just tie it up as best as it could, even if it's kind of at the expense of the quality of the film. So that kind of brought down the film for me. And there are certain things that have been hinted at from the trailer and just from the stars of this film in interviews, certain things that show up or happen in this film. And I gotta say, when these things happened, people were clapping, in my theater at least. So that was awesome to see and hear, that theatrical experience. But a lot of these things are cut short, and it's not the fact that it's cut short that brings down the film, because I'm anyway there for the actual story and everything, and a lot of people are too. It's not the thing. That's not the thing that brings down the film. It's just the way that it's cut short that just makes me wonder, was the reason that certain things were added in this film to just bring people to the theater to make them buy tickets for the movie, which I don't really think so. I don't really think it's that, because the MCU is great at selling tickets. Their films make billions of dollars and people are following this universe, this series. So then I'm thinking, okay, it's probably to show how powerful a certain character is. And I think that's great, because it's developing a certain character to be a certain way. But then it's the expense of, it's at the expense of things that we've wanted to see, and not just that, but it makes these things that are supposed to be very intelligent look very much the opposite. So it was just an interesting choice from a writing perspective. And I think either this aspect of the film could have been improved in certain ways, maybe if it was done in a different way, or maybe it could have just been cut out from the film entirely, because it doesn't really add much to the character arcs or the plot points or just the storyline. It doesn't really add much to that. So other than the story, which is a big problem because story is a big part of just film in general, other than the story being weak in these areas, I still thought that this was a solid, watchable film, watchable addition in the MCU with a great cast, seeing people reprise their roles, and seeing Raimi's direction and visuals. That was really fun to watch. I just wish that the story could have been on par with all these other aspects. So overall, I give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a B-. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, don't forget your popcorn. Until next time, from Mr. U to you, stay tuned.